Welcome to Evolve Together with Empower People, where people are power. I'm Tiffany Joy Greene, MBA. Here, clarity cuts, humor heals, and purpose drives transformation. Join the movement at www.empowerpeople.org and connect with us on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook, because when people are power, purpose wins. Welcome to Evolve Together with Empower People. I'm Tiffany Joy. This week, America feels like a satire wrote itself. The East Wing is being demolished to make way for a $300 billion ballroom funded by tech and defense giants. Journalists are walking out of the Pentagon. Protesters in Chicago showed up as dancing animals to face down ICE, and somehow Group 7 is still trending. Power is doing the tango with absurdity, and in that chaos, people are wondering, who's really steering this ship? Here's the truth. Power doesn't vanish, it migrates. And if you stop watching, it moves right past you. So today, we're not just watching, we're decoding. We're connecting dots, and we're reminding everyone, people are power. The government's been shut down for over 3 weeks now. 900,000 workers unpaid. Millions of Americans without basic services. Air travel disruptions, healthcare slowdowns, food inspections postponed. 10 failed Senate votes later, and we're no closer to reopening. This isn't a budget standoff, it's a performance of dysfunction. A shutdown doesn't prove fiscal responsibility, it proves emotional immaturity. Purpose-driven leadership would never use the livelihoods of citizens as pawns in a political game. The shutdown is a mirror. It reflects the leaders' addiction to division and their allergy to discipline. If America were a company, the shareholders, yeah, that's us, would have fired the board weeks ago. You can't balance a budget when you're bankrupt in purpose. Pentagon rolled out new media restrictions this week. Journalists covering defense operations are now being asked to sign non-disclosure agreements before publishing, even on unclassified material. Dozens of journalists have returned their press credentials in protest. Transparency isn't a luxury of democracy, it's the oxygen. Without it, truth suffocates. If you tell the press they can't report without permission, what you're really saying is, the people can't know without consent. And here's the irony. The same institution that teaches soldiers to die for freedom is now asking reporters to sign it away. Purpose-driven leadership doesn't hide behind classification. It stands in truth, even when it's inconvenient. You don't defend democracy by gagging the ones who document it. Only in America can you find a protest where dancing furries face down a federal agency armed with pepper balls. In Chicago, a group of protesters dressed as inflatable animals, furries, gathered outside an ICE facility to protest the agency's violent crackdown that had injured clergy, reporters, and local officers earlier this month. The images went viral. A person in a giant blue fox costume holding a sign that read, "Protect the people, not the power." Absurd? Sure. But here's the kicker. It worked. The protest drew national attention, reframing the story from chaos to conscious. Because when government loses legitimacy, citizens will find new ways to express resistance. And sometimes resistance wears fur. Purpose isn't always polished. Sometimes it's playful. When institutions forget their humanity, protesters remind them, even in costume. That accountability still has teeth. When truth gets absurd, justice gets creative. The East Wing of the White House is being demolished to make way for a new 90,000 square foot ballroom. Cost $300 billion. Funded by over 30 private donors and major corporations. The list reads like a tech and defense summit. Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Palantir, Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen Hamilton, Caterpillar, Coinbase, T-Mobile, Next Extra Energy, Micron Technology, Tether America, Altria Group, Reynolds American, Union Pacific Railroad, and individual donors, the Adelson Family Foundation, the Winklevoss twins, Steven Schwarzman, Harold Hamm, Edward and Sherry Glazer, and the Lutnick family. That's not philanthropy, that's privatization. A $300 billion ballroom in the People's House, funded by corporations that already influence our policies and our paychecks, turns democracy into a dance floor for the elite. The East Wing used to represent the power of the people, public tours, First Lady initiatives, civic engagement. Now it's being rebuilt as a monument to access for those who can afford to buy it. Purpose-driven governance demands that public spaces stay public, because when the People's House starts hosting corporate galas, the people become spectators in their own story. When democracy becomes a dance, don't be surprised when only the rich can buy the tickets. People are afraid. They're tired. They're watching institutions crumble and wondering if it's all slipping away. Shutdowns, military secrecy, corporate infiltration, authoritarian whispers. It feels bigger than us, by design. Because when people feel powerless, they stop participating. And that's exactly how power consolidates. Not by taking control, but by convincing you don't have any. The antidote isn't outrage, it's ownership. Vote, organize, support real journalism, build purpose-driven communities. Hope isn't a mood, it's a muscle. You use it or you lose it. Authoritarianism doesn't steal your power, it convinces you to give it away. Forget elites with gold chains. TikTok's newest exclusive club is called Group 7, and you might already be in it. Here's how it started. Sophia James, an indie singer-songwriter, dropped a series of 7 similar videos to promote her song, So Unfair. The 7th video went viral, 38+ million views, and viewers started calling themselves part of Group 7. This is more than a meme, it's a mirror. When people feel disconnected, identity becomes a button to press. Group 7 wasn't designed as a movement, but people turned it into one anyway. Why? Because belonging matters. In a world where government grinds to a halt, press access is limited, power is corporate funded, and we'll take any tribe that gives us back our name. But we must ask, what happens when belonging is built on algorithmic assignment, not authentic connection? When inclusion depends on whether you first saw video number 7. Purpose-driven community isn't about being the lucky few. It's about showing up for each other. It doesn't ask which number. It asks which cause. You can belong to a group, but you can't outsource your purpose. So, what did we just see? A government still shut down, a Pentagon that wants the press to sign NDAs, protesters in fursuits demanding accountability, and a $300 billion ballroom rising from the rubble of the People's House. Absurdity is the new authority, and yet the people still have power. Because here's the twist. You can't build a ballroom big enough to contain a movement. When people remember their purpose, systems shift. When leaders forget it, history corrects them. This is not the time to shrink, it's a time to sharpen. Because power isn't taken, it's transferred. And we're taking it back. I'm Tiffany Joy, and this is Evolve Together with Empower People. Join the movement at www.empowerpeople.org. Activate your superpower, because democracy doesn't need decoration. It needs dedication.